Welcome back to Dead Pine Archives. My name is Dan, and I'm here today with Neil and Kelly.
Hello.
Hi.
And I have a story that I'm going to tell you guys about.
What? Oh my gosh.
I know. His name is Benny Evangelista.
Okay.
Benny.
Now, I've decided that I'm going to let you guys decide. Do we start at the end of the story or do we start at the beginning?
Now, why? Why?
Because usually I start at the beginning, which I just give like all the info of like who he is, where he's from, kind of building up to whatever happens.
But if we start at the end, you get to do the how did I get here?
Yeah, basically. So
You're probably wondering how
you may ask yourself.
Okay. But would you like me to start at the climax of the story or would you like me to start at the very beginning?
Climax.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. On July 3rd, 1929, police officers walked into the house located at 3587 St. Aubin Street in Detroit. Inside, Benny Evangelista sat behind his desk, his hands neatly folded in his lap as though in prayer. His head, well, that was lying on the floor between his feet. And then it goes on. And
so no head?
And if that wasn't graphic enough, this next part's a little graphic and sad, just so people know. Upstairs, there was Santina Evangelista, his wife, whose head has been severed as well, while she was in bed with their youngest son of 18 months old, and his skull had been crushed in. Then the other three remaining children had been slaughtered in their beds.
Were they all beheaded?
They just said that the other kids were slaughtered and that Mario's head was crushed, but they did not say that they were all beheaded.
Okay. All right. That's some Amityville type shit.
Yeah.
Or Ronnie DeFeo bullshit going on.
Benny was also
He
known...
was a well-adjusted young man, Neil. You don't have to... you don't have to malign him. I don't defend... Okay.
Benny was also known as the Detroit Hexman.
Hexman.
And, yeah, that is the climax of the story.
So Benny's beheaded.
Mm-hmm.
His wife. Mm-hmm. And 4 kids?
Yes.
All his and his wife's.
Mm-hmm.
All slaughtered.
Yes.
In some way.
Yes.
Okay. And he's known as the Hexman.
Yes.
I can think of a sax man or scat man. Like...
This was called the Detroit Occult Murders.
Okay.
Damn, okay.
Mm-hmm. In 1929.
29. All right. So this is earlier than I would have expected a cult murder.
Yeah. Well, okay. So to get this out of the way, I'm going to keep having trouble with this last name only because there is a wonderful show called Pose where one of the main characters' names is Electra Evangelista. And so to me, in my head, it is a much more modern thing played by Dominique Jackson. She's wonderful. Yeah. So anytime you say Evangelista, I'm going to be like, ballroom. Okay, go.
That is all right. It's a very different vibe.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so that is basically the end of the tale. So I'll kind of go back from the beginning.
Right, yeah. How did we get here? You're probably wondering how we got here. You're probably wondering how my head got between my legs.
Yeah, so there was a little bit more details about the murder, but I will go after that after we get a little bit of background.
Yeah.
So
how did we get here?
Benny Boy, he was a self-proclaimed divine prophet.
Oh,
maybe he deserved to die.
Oh, great. Hell yeah.
All right,
Those guys
this all makes sense. You know what? We can stop here.
You know what?
It's
been a great episode, guys. I love it. Let's okay.
Start to end, we got it. We got all of it. So Benny, whose name is Benjamino Evangelista, he was born in Naples, Italy.
Since you said he's a self-proclaimed prophet, I don't believe he was. I don't believe he was born in Italy. I also don't believe...
Just wait.
Since you said he's a self-proclaimed prophet, I don't believe that, actually.
I don't believe anything this man says about his biography. I don't believe that that's his real name.
Yeah, well, I don't know. But, so, he was born in Naples, Italy in 1885.
Old.
Obviously, later on, people did end up referring to him as the Detroit Hexman. He came to America in 1904 and settled in with his brother Antonio. They were not in Michigan. I forget where they were.
No, Antonio.
But they did that. Now, Antonio was a very strict Catholic, which you can assume with someone being a prophet, a divine prophet, that it did end up having a bit of an issue, and they had a falling out. Because apparently Benny started to have mystic visions that were very un-Catholic. And Antonio was like, that's a hard no, you gotta go. So Benny went to York, Pennsylvania, working on the railroad construction crew. Like, that's what he decided to do. Also in York, Benny had his best friend, Aurelius Angelino.
These are mystical ass names.
Right.
And what is...
Aurelius sounds really sick, and I hope I'm saying it right because that sounds sick as hell.
I have 57 vampire references in my head right now.
So Aurelius was also from Naples, and they knew each other beforehand. I'm not 100% sure, but like they both moved here to America. He went, with his brother, and then he ended up moving to York with Aurelius. And they both started dabbling in the occult. So
Which makes sense, because what is...
a name called Aurelius?
Well, like, if there was a falling out between Benny and his brother over mysticism versus Catholicism, the Venn diagram is basically a circle.
Oh, yeah. I think this may have been something that he had always been interested in.
I can't get like the image out of my head of just like Italian stereotype brothers just yelling at each other. It's a me. I am a prophet now. No, you're not a prophet.
Weirdly enough, who got this video from 19? I didn't even know they had sound then.
I'm going to start...
You're not
okay, his
prophet,
son was
Ben.
like...
I'm going to start twisting the lore of the Mario Brothers
Yeah.
very hard, and people on Reddit are going to get pissed.
Well...
Which would make... What's this guy's name?
Aurelius?
Aurelius. Is that like... Would that be like a Wario? The occult.
Maybe. So after they moved in together and were working and started looking in the occult, I don't know actually if they lived together, but they, hung out a lot. They were roommates. No, I don't think they were, sadly. But anyways, it didn't take long.
They're dabbling in the occult. It's going to be a little
Aurelius
gay.
did
It's going to be a little gay.
Especially in the 1920s. This is like
It's going to be a little gay.
Well, Aurelius was married with children. So
He sounds like a man that wears a cape.
yeah.
My name's Aurelius.
See, this is exactly, yeah.
It did not take long for whatever they were doing to go straight to Aurelius's head. In 1919, he snapped and took an axe to his 2 children. Both of them did not survive the attack.
Aurelius did this?
Yes. He killed his children.
We're just a murder club. We're just doing this. Okay.
Aurelius was sentenced as criminally insane, and he went to jail. And then a shaken up Benny moved to Detroit.
Aurelius feels like the kind of person who not only wore a cape, but also used it as a prop to like throw over his face and then truly believe no one else could see him.
Maybe.
Oh my God.
He'd just yell like, back into the night.
I also feel like they're like right on the cusp of the vampire teeth stay on or divorce.
No, if that's the end of Aurelius being in the story, that's great, because all I can picture is Aleister Crowley. So.
Yeah.
So then after Benny moved to Detroit, he did get a job as a carpenter, and he started dabbling in real estate, and he got married. Though apparently newly what?
I fucking hate that I did that.
Apparently, newlywed life and land couldn't keep him from going back to his interest in the occult. And he did one even better. He started charging for his mystic abilities. He would psychically heal those who could afford his fee. He went as high as $10, which is equivalent to 2 days' work on like the factory line.
Psychic healing.
2 days.
Listen, why can't people just have hobbies? Why this grind set?
Right.
Well, he was about making money.
The original Etsy
Yeah.
witch.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
All right. His mystic abilities also included selling of herbs, hexes, and spiritual remedies, performing chants, dances, and even animal sacrifices for some lucky customers, all in the name of curses.
You know, I mean, respect the grind, but also like what's, and this is just my own like point of view on religion. That's a little, whatever.
You love it.
Yeah. But no, like, I mean, honestly though, people are, especially at the time, I'm sure we're like, oh, this is evil and this is bad, but there's nothing different that he's doing than the like tent revivalist preachers, you know, who would show up in town and charge you to,
yeah. I mean,
to heal. And
he's doing like animal sacrifices, and I don't know if they were doing that at the time, but
no, I'm just saying, like the preying on people who are looking for a solution to anything, you know, in mysticism or in religion. Exactly. It would just like those preachers.
It was said that people saw proof that Benny had cured a sick baby. He stopped a man who was bleeding with just a few words. And the oddest...
Stop bleeding.
Stop it, man.
This big-eared ass idiot.
Yeah.
This fucking... He looks like... Okay. He looks
like Dewey from Malcolm in the Middle.
Correct. He looks like a mixture of Dewey. Who is that one British actor that was Doctor Who?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
That fucking... that guy.
Let me see him. He does look so much like Dewey.
God, who's the... Oh my God, I'm the word. Lovecraft.
Oh, HP.
Yeah. Yes. I was like, who's the man with the tentacles and such? Yeah. Sorry.
So,
this idiot is the one that's sacrificing animals, doing chanting dances and being like, I'll cure you. I'll cure you.
The oddest rumor was that Santina, his wife, was brought to the home on a stretcher. He declared, she must marry me, then I will cure her. Talk about romantic. And then apparently...
I'll kill him with a gun. How dare you? I'll heal you, but only... Sorry. I'll heal you, but only if you go out with me. I'll kill you.
Well, she did in fact survive, and she married Benny. What? And they had several children together, you know, as a well-rounded divine prophet does.
You know, it's not a new hot take, but I'm so tired of hearing the stories of how grandparents met, and it's always a crime.
This is literally like someone going over a troll bridge, and they're like, ooh, now you have to give me a riddle or something, you know? Like,
I'll heal you, but only in the form of a riddle.
There was nothing in there that said that she was unhappy with him or anything. There was really nothing at all about their marriage.
I mean, if she's unhappy, she'll just go right to the sanitarium.
Has anybody wrote that fucking like slash fic, like that monster fucking story yet of crossing the bridge? Riddles 3 in the last riddle, or like the last question he asks is like, will you marry me?
Oh my fuck. I'm gonna throw up.
Somebody call Mr. AO3 right now.
Anybody out there that has a sexy Billy Goat's gruff story, send it directly to Neil.
We're gonna get him a P.O. box. Send them all. Print them and send
not
them.
The Billy Goat's gruff. I'm looking.
That is a lot.
I didn't even go with the troll under the bridge. No, there is a troll. Yeah, it's gonna eat the goats. Sexy goat.
Beyond their marriage and all that, Benny did get in, he got a decent amount of wealth through the real estate and also selling his Etsy witch stuff on the side, basically. And he moved into a house on St. Aubin and Mack Avenue in Detroit. It was apparently a pretty nice house, but there was... people could see, like, passerbys, if they, you know, cranked their head a certain way and really looked at an angle that you could see through a window into the basement. And apparently in his basement, he used paper mache, wood, and wires to create 9 planets with a sun with an electric eye in the center of it. And he called it his Great Celestial Planet Exposition.
Okay, that sounds kind of cool. I'm not going to lie.
Yes.
Now that's a hobby.
Yeah.
Now, beyond that, where the people passing by couldn't see was where he would practice his rituals. Spells, hexes, potions, knives, jars filled the room, and to put the icing on the cake, he had a crude altar for magical sacrifices. And then, big surprise, he's a little self-absorbed, just like a little bit. And he had copies and copies of his self-published book, The Oldest History of the World Discovered by Occult Science in Detroit, Michigan. All around the room, apparently.
All right, but can I like get a copy of that?
I'm sure he is. I think on the bottom that's like the publisher's, number one.
I'm not going to derail, but I was about to cry because I've been on AO3 this entire time. And I just went to go search the 3 Billy Goats Graph. Luckily, there's no fan fiction on AO3 that has to do specifically with the 3 Billy Goats Graph.
Oh, wow.
But the title gets used a lot just as like stories. And the very first one I found was supernatural fan fiction. The boys in Castiel, the goats.
That's
I'm sure.
Gotta be, right?
Who's the troll? I don't know.
There's so many other characters. It could be anybody.
I had to leave.
It could be.
I had tears in my eyes because I was like, no, you can't do this. They can't keep getting away with this.
They continually will forever.
Fuck. I didn't even watch the show.
Benny and his book. He said that he started writing the book in 1906, though it was apparently a 1 out of 4 book series.
So I'm sorry, what was the title of this?
The Oldest History of the World Discovered by Occult Science in Detroit, Michigan.
I'm exhausted by these old-timey titles that are a full paragraph.
He also said that he started writing this book because he had a series of nightly trances.
Okay.
And then he was going to write 4 of them because apparently he was told a lot of things like from God.
Okay.
And he just had to jot that down.
Sure.
Sadly, as we all kind of know, or maybe not sad,
You can just find
the book?
I have the book.
Well, it's got to be like so old and so obscure and weird that you could probably just find it for free.
Google Books has it uploaded, so it's like a free PDF scan of the entire book that you can grab for free off of Google.
All right.
Guys, I have bad news. Neil's decided to become a wizard.
Doesn't sound like a good one.
Chapter 1. Before the creation of God, there existed nothing but air and water. Oh, there's a lot going on already. All right, I'm going to have to read this later.
There's a lot. He never
Tune in next week where we're joined by a wizard.
At this point, we get to where he and his family were murdered. A man named Vincent Elias had come to Benny's home on July 3rd, about 10:30 a.m. to discuss a real estate deal and was the first person to discover the bodies. Just about the whole Detroit Homicide Division was dispatched immediately to this crime scene. The house was searched, and the officers took a handful of notes of all the strange discoveries they found. One of the strangest discoveries was that someone had surrounded Benny's severed head with 3 large framed photographs of a child in a coffin. It was later determined to be a post-mortem photograph of Benny's son, who had died several years before. There was no explanation as to what message the photographs were intended to convey. The newspaper noted that there were some other odd discoveries as well. Several pieces of women's undergarments, each tagged with a name of its owner, police pointed out, revealing that so-called mystic indulged in practices of voodooism or devil worship. Now, there is in this is a lot of people brought up voodooism. Because I don't know exactly what his views were. I don't know if it actually has anything to do with actual voodooism. Yeah. But this is what all the papers said, especially at the time.
Well,
which is what they would throw around anyways.
Yeah.
They kept the garments because they thought it would lead to missing people or, figure out like why they were there. They didn't really find too much on that, but he just had a lot of weird stuff like that. The only clue that was not destroyed or contaminated by reporters or onlookers was a single bloody fingerprint on the front doorknob. They couldn't stop all of the gawking and the reporters, and they literally ruined the crime scene.
Yeah, that sounds right. Did fingerprint technology exist then? checked for?
I don't think it,
Probably
like, I think
not.
they, like, well, so they could try to match it, but I think it was literally, like,
Their database
looking
was
at it.
probably just like a
Yeah.
sheet of paper. Yeah.
Yeah, because they do end up testing it with one man and it wasn't him. They did try to talk to the neighbors, most of them being Sicilian and Italian immigrants. They could not compel them to give any official statements. And I'm assuming because they're immigrants, they're like...
Because you don't talk to cops.
Yeah, you don't want to deal with it. You don't want your name in their system for any reason.
Well, and fingerprint technology apparently existed as far back as the 17th century. But, like, it was, they didn't have, like,
They're looking at it.
a big old database. It was literally, like, eyeball, magnifying glass, piece of paper, done.
Like, we have this fingerprint and we can bring someone in and test theirs and see if it's similar.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you're not going to, like, enhance.
Yeah. Google enhance. He just puts his face really close to it and he's like, that's a
Enhance,
fingerprint,
bro.
I tell you.
The investigation couldn't really even be launched because no one would talk. In his home, Benny had collections of personal trinkets from other people and even records with hundreds of people's names that came to him for services, but not even a handful of those questioned even admitted to knowing Benny.
Oh, sure.
Which would make sense because this is in the 20s and he's doing occult stuff and they're immigrants.
Yeah.
Again, it's just best to keep your name out of their line of sight in general.
Sure.
The police did find very few clues and they pursued 3 very different theories. One of them revolved around the Black Hand, a criminal group that preyed on wealthy Italian immigrants, because he had gotten a letter that they found that said, this is your last chance, like 6 months beforehand. But the problem is that the Black Hand theory didn't quite work. It didn't quite work because it was outdated. By 1929, the Black Hand group turned more into a traditional mafia structure of organized crime. So crude extortion schemes like this were something in the past. They weren't going to do that. This would have been before Prohibition became a law, and it seems unlikely that Benny took those notes very seriously anyways. So whoever was trying to extort money from him or whatever was an amateur and probably did not murder his family. The second theory was significantly more plausible. A 42-year-old man named Umberto Okay, it just looks like, I want to say techno, but it's not because there's no N. It's Tecchio. Ticchio? So Umberto Ticchio had visited Evangelista's home the night before the bodies were found. He was making a final payment to a house that Benny had sold him. He was there along with a friend named Angelo Depoli, who had accompanied him to the house on the night before the murders, right? They were brought into questioning because they found a really weird axe that they called a banana knife and a pair of suspiciously clean work boots in their barn after all the murders. Now, they claim they didn't know anything about the murders. They both stated that nothing unusual happened when they were there. And eventually they were like, I don't think this, banana, knife is the proper murder weapon.
Sure.
But apparently the one dude, Ticchio, he had killed his brother-in-law.
Everybody's just killing.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, he had knifed his brother-in-law to death in an argument. He escaped prosecution for that, and they're not sure, we don't know why, but he did. But it did give them reasons to really, look into him, but there was no physical evidence, no confession, and he ended up dying a few years later in 1934. They did get a woman who was a vengeful ex-wife of somebody and was like, oh, my ex-husband did it. I know he did it. He's dead, though, so I don't know. And they did test his thumbprint, and it did not match the fingerprint they do have. So it brings us to our last theory. Now, this one I thought was interesting. So in 1923, 6 years before the murder, Benny's old friend, Arulis, Angelino, who, murdered his kids with an axe, he escaped from the Pennsylvania prison for the criminally insane, where he was incarcerated and was never seen again. Like, they have no trace of him after that. After, like, even when he got out that 6 years to this time, they have no idea where he is.
Somebody smuggled in his cape.
Dude, stop. Aurelius is giving me the hardest fucking time because all I am picturing with this jailbreak is Aleister Crowley in the stripy, like, one piece, but with a cape, holding it behind himself and fanning it out as he runs. That is all I'm picturing.
Aurelius into the night.
I do feel like he's in his cell, right? Standing there, and he just puts his cape up over his face, and the, people working there are like, where the hell did he go? Where'd he go? And then all of a sudden they're like,
with a 45-year-old man.
Another wizard.
So it would have made a lot of sense that he got mad at his friend for doing very, very well when he was forced into a prison because he was guilty. But people do weird things. They would have no idea how he would have gotten to Detroit. Again, there was nothing afterwards, so who knows? The Detroit police did seem to investigate way more time in the Umberto Tecchio, but looking back, after more than 80 years, the nature of the crime itself seemed to be most likely Allurus.
Granted, it's coincidence, but...
Coincidence?
So, Aurelius.
A wizard.
Aurelius
killed his family.
Two kids
with an axe.
And then
all of Benny's family were killed with an axe.
There's no proof that it was an axe. Like, they never found the murder weapon. They did go through a few like theories, but it was, they call it the axe murders. So okay.
So some blunt sharp, that's not right. But some instrument like that, because
but it was very similar that he would.
I was so interested in this and like where exactly, because the street sounded familiar and like whatever. So I was looking it up, and like the first like old timey news clip I saw was like, we're killed with an axe. And I was like, oh shit. Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, when you were talking about they couldn't keep people off the property from like gawking, have you seen the photos? This is
yeah. So there were so many people had heard about it that they were like, it was insane. Even the funerals were like,
I got that picture
thousands
too.
of people showed up.
This is another one of those things during that era where like people were really into like true crime things, and it turned into a fucking spectacle. There were like vendors. There were people like selling little like trinkets. There were people selling like hot potatoes.
So here's the article that I saw. And it's like typed up. It's before it was even printed. But it says, Benny Evangelista, 44 of Detroit, quote, divine prophet of a religious cult. His wife and their 4 children were cruelly hacked to death by a fiend recently.
Yep.
For whom the entire Detroit police force is now searching. One suspect has been arrested thus far. Which
they end up,
But so the paper mache he
also had wax figures in his basement as well. 6 of them, I think.
So it says these are paper mache, but they are gods of his cult?
Yeah, probably.
And they
they look weird. They look weird.
Oh, they're terrifying.
I didn't know they'd look like that.
They're terrifying.
Think like 1920s, like Halloween, like creepy.
But like
they've colorized like some of the pictures with like newer technology. But
they don't
like,
have to.
This is the shit people like passerbys were seeing in his basement as well on his street.
They're huge.
They're massive. They got to be like 4 feet tall, paper mache, like little poppet fucking.
See, they're weird. I kept picturing like he was making like little effigies, but like making them kiss. Like they're just like little.
I mean, maybe.
Little guys.
I don't know, man.
I didn't know that there was going to be a whole like Sam Squanch in the basement.
There was a lot, and he had a lot of weird stuff. The house was demolished, so it is no longer there. But people do say that if you are around the site And I'm pretty sure nothing's been built there since. Like, I'm pretty sure it's unused.
So where it is right next to Eastern Market. That's like literally
that makes sense. Yeah.
It's right on the other side of Eastern Market is where it is. So
Well,
of course
apparently-
it was probably a blighted property that got
Apparently, you'll hear screaming on occasion, and you are likely to see a headless man walking the lot and vanishing.
Dan, I know it was
Aurelius.
Wrong guy. The other one's headless. Aurelius can't be seen. He's wearing the cape.
I'm just saying we never saw him and Anton LaVey in the same room. Dan, I know it was at like the very top of what you were saying. What was the address again? I just want to see Street View.
The address, it is 3587 St. Aubin Street in Detroit. The house has been demolished for a while and nothing has been built there. It's supposed to be haunted. You'll see a headless man, apparently.
Interesting.
Now, what I thought was interesting too was a news article came out in 1960 about this.
Okay.
Not from Detroit,
Okay.
not from Michigan.
I love these.
The Houston Post from Houston, Texas, had a whole thing
Okay.
about this from the 20s.
Why?
I will say the transcript of it, real messed up, kind of hard to read.
Yeah.
But
The archives
I
are tricky.
thought it was very funny, the beginning. So it said, grimly, the detectives measured the height of the handprints on the walls and the distance between footprints, which again, they said they only found one fingerprint, so I don't know where they're getting this. But anyways, the killer, they decided, was a small man of great strength, powerful dwarf of sword slaughter. What?
Don't lay these murders on Gimli's door.
And so they were like, such a man should not be hard to find. Since none of the dogs had been heard barking, likely that he had been one of Evangelista's friends. So they geared up this big manhunt. The detectives were sure they'd find him and they would arrest him soon. No one knew of such a man.
Journalism is so funny.
I just don't understand how they
You
get
could
this
just write
information
whatever.
years later.
Just write whatever.
None of this was in like the original news clippings I saw. They said like no money was taken, no valuables, no documents or anything. It just was a murder and then left. And then this one, again, was from Houston, Texas in the 60s. But they were like, there was no murder weapon found yet. Something like a sword with a cutting more than a foot long must have been used. The police doctor said.
the police
doctor?
Yeah.
First off, 2026, let's bring back the lexicon of like 1920s journalism, because all I want to do, like, as awful as it is reading the news today, if someone was called a dastardly fiend, it would make me a lot happier to read it.
Yeah, I would be way more interested.
Yeah.
But again,
I
they
think we
have
should bring back hyphen jobs that don't go together.
Yes.
Police doctor.
Police
He was on the
Dr.
scene
Barber.
after his meeting with the astronaut hot dog man.
Also, in this same newspaper, it did say a man was arrested because big banana knife was found in
Shut
his
the fuck up. That's the funniest thing. No.
Yeah, that's
that.
what the transcript said.
Man was arrested because big banana knife was on the scene.
It goes on to say that, the family drew thousands to the funeral. Then they got into a whole bunch of weird stuff that I'm not going to go into completely, but I will go over it a little bit. Apparently some dude went missing and it was said he knew Benny and he vanished. 30-year mystery, but his name was Judge Carter. And he hailed a taxi and he was just gone. And then they go on to name like 3 other judges that like something weird happened. I don't know. And none of it says why they're connected. But they were like, oh, this happened. And this other Judge Parkinson also disappeared.
Yeah, the big funeral happened for a cult guy. By the way, 17 judges are missing.
They did find one of the judges in, they found him, he drowned. And I thought it was weird, which is weird. But I don't know what any of this has to do with there. I don't know why, but they just kept having it all in there. And I was like, what are we talking about?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I want to let you finish. I'm just confused about how at the top of this, because he's supposed to be a divine prophet, and everybody's throwing around the word prophet and cult and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard anything about his following or like what this cult is about, or if he even has a cult. Is this just is it like them just crying wolf with like the voodoo situation where they're just sensationalizing and just like throwing shit wherever? Like, this guy's into the occult. He has a cult that's 1,300 strong.
Well, and see,
they say that he's a guy.
So again, yeah, they don't go into like really what his occult was. We'll have to read the book, I guess. But they did say he did animal sacrifices, which seems a little violent, but also what religion hasn't done that at some point.
And that's all fine. But like,
his friend did murder his children, but that doesn't mean he was a part of that.
Well, but that's all fine. But no, it's not. But like, if like being part of the occult and being a like divine prophet cult leader are not always in the same circle. So I'm just curious about if he actually had any, because a cult demands a following.
Yeah, well, it does seem like he had many people that would visit him. That's why he had records. Well, yeah, but if you're going to go to someone for like psychic healing, you believe in them at least a little bit.
That's not always a cult, though.
I think, well, yes, I think it's just any religious following, though.
And I think at the time, yeah, it's not.
Now they're gonna pull out the word cult because it's
that's what I'm saying. Different. Are they sensationalizing, or?
But also, like again, if this was a bunch of Christians meeting in someone's basement, that's still a cult.
So the book kind of serves as his holy text, right? Mm. So if you have like, hey, I am a prophet of this. This is the holy text that was given to me by the divine, right? And I'm going to then use this divine power, for pay to help you, and you have people lining up. Like, yes, it's a very transactional thing, but there is a belief system in place.
Sure.
So I guess because when we think cults, we think of like.
Well, they usually get
the more modern ones that have a stronger, more devoted grip. Because the second the police started questioning all of these people, they were like, "I don't know why my name's on that fucking roster. I never went to him for fucking anything." So his grip wasn't that tight.
Well, I also think though that's very much like stay out of the business kind of thing. You know, like they're not in a place to be lenient with the law, but also like if you're part of a cult, you don't talk about the cult. And I do think, again, any group following is a cult. Now, it's just usually used as a insult to the religious group instead of it being like a good thing. So him being in things that were like unchristian, uncatholic, he's automatically
dabbling in the occult.
Yeah, yes. Dabbling in the occult. And, people thought he was looking for the devil and like things like that. Like they're gonna automatically, no matter what, if he was doing good or bad, they're going to say he's doing bad because it's the fucking almost 2030s. They're not going to be like, oh, he was just in his own little world doing his own thing.
Right.
Again, there was nothing said that he had done. I do have the little snippet from the newspaper when he died, which also, I know this is not like that weird of a thing, but I think it's weird when people had kids and one unfortunately died and then they had another kid and used the same name. I think that's weird.
It's not funny. I don't know why I did that.
I'm just saying they had a son who did pass early, right?
Yeah,
and
I was Neil
I just
too.
really like that game.
Well, I was just like, damn, what the hell, man? He was 4, so it was 1924, and the other one was born in 1927. Like, you had a kid between then.
Look,
you had 2 kids between then. They were both girls, but still.
We don't talk about the fact that Neil had an older brother, and Neil's original name was Beale, and they thought that sounded stupid. So when his brother died, they were like, "We'll just call this."
Thank God, we'll start from scratch.
No more Beale for you, favorite son.
So this is the snippet that was in the newspaper. Police believe entire family hacked to death by man seeking revenge. Detroit, July 16th. Search for the man who killed Benny Evangelista, his wife, and 4 children 2 weeks ago Tuesday pointed to a father whose wife and daughter had complained of mistreatment while under the care of the slain faith healer, which also slain faith healer sounds sick as hell.
Sick Benny.
Police have abandoned the Black Hand theory and Tuesday concentrated their attention on the new clue, which was contained in several letters written. Evangelista's warning, "You ruined my life and I'm going to ruin yours," which again, that's the only time I've seen that, but it is in the newspaper. So Evangelista and his family were found hacked to death in their home July 3rd. The slain man was a self-styled prophet of a new religion, the author of a Bible, in quotation marks, and a believer in the power of healing by laying on of hands. Prior to his death, Evangelista was recognized as the leader of a sizable sect of Detroit Italians. So yeah, that's what's on his obituary page. Mm-hmm. Again, his ears are very big, and he looks exactly like Dewey, and I don't love that. And that's basically all I have for the story about him. But you can go to the Eastern Market in Detroit, and maybe a block or so over, you might see a headless man. Who knows?
I was gonna say you could go and you could stand at this vacant lot and
I'd be careful.
Check for
headless men. Yeah,
a wizard.
A wizard.
Don't forget your cape.
Could disappear without a trace.
Into the night.
Oh
Into the night. They will find you. And so that is our episode for today. And thank you for getting through with us. Again, you know the drill at this point, I hope at least. Leave us a review. That's the best way that you can support us. We are on all streaming platforms. So whatever you're listening to us on, guess what? All our other episodes are there too. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, send us an email, info@deadpinearchives.com. And I think that is that's a wrap on that. Ooh. All right. Well,
thank you, Dan.
Yeah. And we will see you guys in the next episode.
Goodbye.
Hooroo.